All right. This is Harmony Springs Leadership Meeting on July 22nd. We're getting ready to hopefully be really breaking ground on the property. So we're going to discuss that a little bit tonight, as well as some other preparations for the groundbreaking ceremony we have coming up next week, and whatever time we have left for talking about some of the other projects we're working on. So let's start with prayer. Pray for all of this and all that's going on. If you don't mind, I will open us up here with a word of prayer. Loving and gracious God, we give you thanks for each person gathered here, even virtually tonight, and for those who are not, who have other obligations and things going on. We ask that you might bring us together, unite us around your common call and mission for us as your church, as Harmony Springs in Green, and for all the work that you are calling us to do. We ask that you might guide and direct our conversation and decision this evening, that your spirit may be known, and that we may hear from you. Guide and direct us even now, and bring us peace and bring our world peace in and through this pandemic that we're all struggling through as best we can all over the globe. Loving God, thank you for your presence with us here this evening as we continue forward. In your name we ask this. Amen. All right. Thought we'd just start with a quick building update. I'll kind of just get you caught up on where we are, and then we can go from there. I'll see if I can present a couple things here. Chuck and I just looked over. We have our first change order, which is exciting because we haven't even really started yet. So that's something, I guess. Not great, but it is what it is. So what has happened in the development so far is over the last few weeks, that's put us a little bit behind schedule on the construction schedule we originally got, is a lot of permitting that's been happening, things we've been signing and returning back, both with Summit County and with the City of Green. So we've been dealing with Summit Soil and Water, the Summit County Health Department, and the City of Green Building and Zoning Department. So all of those entities have to give us the correct permits. And in a discussion with Weaver the other day, their take on things was that when we got to this permitting stage, this is probably typical, I would guess, but when you start asking for permits, they start saying, oh, here's the last list of things we want you to include before we actually give you the permit. So that long list of things turned into a change order that was what I will show you here in a second, which is, I think, what was the total? Something like $32,000 or $33,000. So let's see here. There we go. See if you can see that. Yep, there you go. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. All right, I'll try to just run down through this list here, both for us gathered and for those watching this afterwards. As best I can remember in my conversation with our builder, so some of this, they sort of designated where these stipulations or requests are coming from, either from the building department for the City of some others like Summit Soil and Water, Department of Environmental. So let's see. So some of these are just, the first three are Health Department changes to the design, non-combustible wall at the stove with a stainless steel instead of FRP, which was originally in the plan. Because I don't know that much about giving reasonings, I'll give you what I know, but some of this stuff is just, you know, code that either got overlooked or their preference, I guess. So Health Department, there's one drain in a sink that wasn't originally routed to the grease trap, and they want, my understanding is they want all of our drains in the kitchen to go to the grease trap. So that is that increase in cost. The total cost is over here, line by line. This one was interesting. So I asked some questions about this one. Adding a cool down kit and temporary tempering valve to the dishwasher. So this is, the high. I'm going to say all this wrong, I'm sure tonight. So just roll your eyes at me. The temperature going into the dishwasher is extremely hot, obviously, to sanitize and clean things, which means the temperature coming out of the dishwasher through the drain is also hot. This is a kit that they were requesting that cools down the water on the way out, if that makes sense. I have no idea why that's necessary, other than maybe safety for the, plumbing. If there's a certain temperature we're over for the, PVC or that kind of thing. But regardless, that kit costs $1,500, so that's a requirement. And building department requests. This is the City of Green building department. Because we communicated through this process that we'd be using the building or opening it up to the public more often, they had a few requests with the bathrooms, like adding FRP in the bathrooms. This would be around the walls inside each bathroom, and then epoxy paint, and then the last roof, that is, the exhaust fans would be the fans over top of the stove. They're sucking things out, and they have to be, per the health department, cleaned every so often. So they want us to put a platform around those fans so that workers can go up there and clean them. And then when the building department added that as a request, then we got another request for screening from the City of Green to be put around those roof platforms. So one was $2,400 for the screening, and the other one was a couple $1,000. So $4,400 basically just so we can clean those fans. I mean, it is what it is. The fans will need cleaned, and we'll have to do it. It's just crazy that it costs as much as it does, I guess. Some other things from the city: vinyl fence around the transformer. This is just to try to be a good neighbor for those houses that border us so that they don't have to look at the transformer. The same with the gate, vinyl fence and gate. The 4-inch data conduit, that was a change the city requested, I think, because of the amount, like the length that conduit was going to have to run from Arlington all the way back to our building. And then this one, the Department of Environmental Overage over allowance. So Weaver, in our original budget, budgeted $5,000, and this is for the sanitary connection fee, if that makes sense. So they budgeted 5,000, their best guess on what they thought it would be, and finally got back to us on what that fee would be based on our, I don't know, they run a formula, square footage and usage and all that. The number they came back with was 10,000, I guess $10,876, since they had a $5,000 allowance originally. So that is the fee just to make that connection. All right, then increasing, all right, I can tell you a little bit about this one. Increasing to a 2-inch meter from the 1.5-inch meter. It has to do with plumbing or water flow. The meter, I know what this is. I think it's water going out, like septic, so that because of the size of our building, they thought we might need more. But Weaver is going to look into this one, they told us, with the plumbing engineer to see if some other things can be tweaked so that we could just maintain the 1.5-inch pipe, I think is what it is, or this GPM coming out. So that could be a possibility of if they could design things a little bit differently to not have to have that out in there. And then this last one is a meter outside of the building. And as Weaver explained this to me, it was like a clear version of a plumbing pipe, if that makes sense. So that the health department can come up every once in a while and just see what's coming into, I don't know if it's the grease trap or through the septic. I was thinking it was the grease trap. I can ask Weaver some of these questions to clarify exactly, but what they were telling me was that they're getting things mixed into the septic that shouldn't be, and they changed the code to require this so that they can check to try to figure out where things that aren't supposed to be coming into the septic are coming from. So that's what that is. Pretty proud of myself for remembering all that and doing as good of a job trying to communicate that as much as possible. But so anyhow, the cost of that is at the bottom here, the $31,000. And then this is why these change fees get so expensive, because every time we have a change fee, it adds in a 6% markup for their time and energy, I guess, spent dealing with it. So that's $1,700 there. So the total was $33,111. And they signed a change order, which Chuck and I looked over, and I signed and sent back just because I didn't want that to hold up our process or progress any. And they sort of break down in the change order what the total budget was before and what it is after. And we're still on one, so that's good. I could probably bring that up here. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. Those numbers are down here. So the original contract, 1.543. These were some of the cuts that we made. Total prior to this order, this change order cost, and then the total budget now, 1. So there you go. I'm happy to do my best to try to answer any questions you all might have about that, if you have any.
Joel, do you think that Church Extension kind of expects these kinds of changes? You know, what we told them we thought our total budget for the project would be, and then these changes come in and it adds to it. I mean, are they?
Yes, I think what was important was that our original budget fit into the worksheet that we had with them. And then I think that they expect, I mean, obviously we can't spend more than, they're just going to give us the amount that they approved to give us. So if we spend more over and above borrowing, that from them, then that comes out of our accounts. And if it's more than we have money for, then we can't do it, basically. Yeah. So, but I think something like that, I mean, my understanding right now is, I forget how much we had, some contingency percentage first. I could ask Ron and the Weaver guys about that, if that will get, where it'll get designated in the budget, or if they just redo the budget at this point and then contingency gets used for other things. I have to go back and look at the agreement with them and ask them that question. But we do have some contingency in there to help cover that. And I think we're still under the number that we had discussed initially with Church Extension. So there wouldn't be any reason for any of our agreement that I'm aware of.
Our landscaping budget, it would be lower by 10,000 if we go with Canton Road.
Yes, thank you. I did get the estimate emailed over then, since we were having some trouble getting that to me. So yes, I think that will certainly help. And
well, we need to tell them they have the job.
Yes. Okay. I just need to, probably what I need to do then is send that over to Weaver and just tell them that we have a connection there and that we'd like to use them for the, we'll see what happens then, if they'll adjust things, or they probably just leave it that way. And then when we get to the actual month by month budgeting, that line item will just be that much less than what we had originally budgeted.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me of that, though, Janice. If for some
Well,
reason,
if some reason they can't get it done in the fall, the price might be a little different just for the stock.
okay, sure. Very good. I will take care of that. If they haven't heard from me, I could try to do it this week here. So make sure that I check that off my list. All right. Any other questions on that? All right. Let's see. Next. I'll just share this with you. This is 5 days ago, but the last email I got from Weaver, I think I shared this on Sunday morning too, but essentially they just were reiterating that the update is that they're working on the permits with the city. And a lot of this is also being coordinated with Portal, Todd, our architect there. And the last I talked to John, the project manager at Weaver, he said that Todd, I think today, was going to try to follow up with the city because he hadn't heard anything back, and just try to see if there's some reason that there's a holdup with the city getting us those permits. Then next we get all of that list of things that was in that change order approved, which we did. They will start site meetings. Sorry, I'm just reading this. Site meetings with Summit Environmental Services and Soil and Water. And then John tells me that they actually should be starting erosion control work on the 29th when we're having our groundbreaking. So lo and behold, our groundbreaking is actually going to be when we're actually breaking. So I didn't think that was going to happen when we first planned that, but it is. So unfortunately, it doesn't seem like they're going to have enough done that we can actually drive on the property. So I think for the groundbreaking, we'll still be parking up at the cul-de-sac and walking down. So that's a good transition to just go over where we're at so far on that groundbreaking. Debbie and I and Jennifer and Dan got involved in it today. I roped them into it. So we've got 6 of the groundbreaking. So we have a pretty good list of folks who are able to participate in it out there on the property. Leadership. Hold on. Hey. Leadership. The mayor of Greene is planning on being there. I was in communication with Valerie, the city's communications director, today a little bit to talk about what the mayor plans to say. And sorry, I have a baby here next to me that decided she wanted to start fussing. Representatives, a couple people from Weaver coming. Debbie has the whole list of others. Debbie, you don't happen to have that in front of you, do you? You want to go through the list of folks participating?
Okay, there we go. I forgot my mic was off.
There you go.
We are pastors, Pastor Joel, Pastor Kim, Pastor Jennifer, and then myself as moderator of the congregation, Chuck Culver as chair of trustees. We've invited, of course, all the elders and all the trustees, and so far, have some responses. I still need to check on a few others, but Shannon and Dennis Getz can come. Jackie plans to come. Janice, and hopefully Jim will come as well. I haven't heard back from Bill Weekly yet, so I'll check with him. But John Forcone has agreed to come. And I'll talk with Carol Zumstein tomorrow. And the Blanchards, I'll have to talk with them. I haven't heard back yet. Canetta wants to come with her children, but because her mother-in-law is very immunocompromised, she wants to stay very far away from the event, but just be able to watch. So she doesn't plan to participate, but they will be there to watch. Donna and Bob Gower, maybe they're thinking about it. Terry Fairfax and Mary, again, because of health concerns, will decline and not be there. But Kevin Poe, our youth intern, is coming, and then Wally Franz, our go-to guy for years and years and years, will be a part of it. And then we have, as Joel mentioned, some special guests. I'm expecting Lynn Slaby to come. Joel has arranged for the mayor of Greene to be there, and for Ron Wenger from Weaver, and then possibly some other folks from Weaver as well. And then Joel is also checking on people from Portal Associates, our architects, to see if someone will be there representing them. We kind of have I guess, a rough outline of what we hope will take place. A welcome by Pastor Joel, an opening prayer by Kim Barnett. These people have agreed to do this. I'm going to make a short statement about our past to our present, how we got here, and hopefully Jim Kuckler will join me on that if he can be there. And then Chuck Culver to talk about our hopes for the future. Jennifer to talk about our commitment to the community with this new building. And obviously, we're inviting our special guests to say a few words if they'd like to. Don't know exactly where we'll fit that in or how we'll do it, but we'll plan for that. And then we'll all dig some dirt. Joel, I was going to ask you, do we all need to bring our own shovels, do you suppose? Or Jennifer shaking yes. Bring our own shovel if you have it, and we can take turns maybe with shovels if we don't have enough, but everybody can dig a little dirt.
I'd say yes, mostly because shovels are fairly expensive and we don't need to, own all those by the church.
No.
It's reasonable when most people own shovels to, put out that expense. I was going to share also about our distinguished guests, the mayor and so on, that usually we would make all of our opening remarks as the list you gave. I think that's great. And then maybe have the mayor do the last moment, have Weaver and them and the mayor in some order or another. But I think it flows very well. I was listening to, each person getting up, Joel, Kim, Debbie and Jim and Chuck and me. I think, that all goes very well. And then we can talk about the business of the groundbreaking, so that would be my suggestion.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, it's not written in stone yet, just some ideas that we're working on.
After I got off the phone with Jennifer and Dan this afternoon, I started thinking about a few more logistics with the groundbreaking that I wanted to try to take care of. So Jennifer and Dan offered to help drive people down in the Jeep. And at the very beginning here, we were discussing that with the Cucklers. So we think that that'll work for Jim to get him down there. And then they were going to try to go out area where we have parked before for the garden and make that look as nice as we can, or at least flat, I guess, so that we can all kind of stand there, which is close to where the building will be. And then I sent an email today to the printing company we use when we send out newsletters. It costs to have a few of the renderings of the church blown up on the foam board like we've done for church in the past. And I thought one in particular would look nice to have like the outside of the building, maybe in the center of us standing around it, and then asked if they could add Harmony's July 29th, 2020 on that, so that there's sort of a date and what it is that we're doing in the pictures and videos. And then some of those other renderings, high quality renderings that we got from Todd that they had done that we've shared around a little bit of the inside of the building. Yeah, Jennifer.
Depending on how large you want it, Dan said that they could do the printing onto that foam core at Kinko's.
Okay.
Or we
Okay.
could go with the person over here who made our vinyl sign and ask them to make just a half size, 4x4 if you want it that big, and then put it on
Yeah.
a 4 piece of plywood on an easel. We can talk more about that
Yeah.
tomorrow, at staff meeting. If you want some help with that, I can help coordinate getting
Okay.
it.
That sounds good. I thought that might be nice to kind of give a little bit of, since we don't have too much construction actually going on, that would give us something to kind of center ourselves around. And then right before the meeting, I sent Jennifer a text and asked if our tiller was still working out there, but maybe we could figure out some way to get a pile of dirt or something so that we're not all struggling to dig around. Hate to have the mayor struggle.
Dan and I
So trying to think through some of the logistics. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. You bumped for a second. I thought you finished your sentence. Dan and I talked about it, and we could actually just, I don't know about getting the tiller out, and that's going to be pretty hard dirt. So I'm not sure how reasonable that is, but we could definitely take the shovel along a certain line of maybe 10 or 12 feet, or longer than that if you want, or if you want individual piles. It just, is everyone going to have a shovel, or just half of them, or just one or two of you do it symbolically for everybody else? That's part of the question too.
Okay.
And we can decide again, either now or tomorrow morning, exactly how big or what to clear off. The tiller is in the very back of the shed behind all the other garden stuff that we threw in. I can do it if you want me to, but it has not been run since that year.
No, and I was also thinking, I mean, whatever is easiest to do, we could just, I'm sure we could find dirt somewhere to pile it up, in there or wherever we get it from, whatever. Once it's there, it's going to be there as part of it. So it's more ceremonial than anything else. So yeah, we can discuss it at staff meeting tomorrow and just figure out a plan. And then I did, Dan and Jennifer and I were discussing, Dan was willing to run or stand behind the whatever equipment we used to live broadcast it. And I did get out the camera that we got for, my thought was that this camera, it's like an old school camera. I didn't even know they made stuff like this anymore, but everybody just uses their cell phones for everything. But anyhow, it's we thought we could mount like wireless mic receiver into it, so that when we're talking, we just pass the mic around, and the audio hopefully will be really good coming. What are you saying? Coming into the live broadcast. So we're gonna try to then YouTube live broadcast it and cross post that to Facebook so that people can watch party, which is the Facebook version of it, sort of on our Facebook, to include people while we're doing it from wherever they are during this crazy pandemic. This is what we got to try to figure out. So we're going to try to go up there, meet up on the property with all this equipment at some point here soon, so that we can test it all out and make sure that all the connections work and all that, to make sure we minimize as much as possible any tweaking or fiddling we have to do when we're actually there, and to just make sure that everything is working for the groundbreaking. Yeah, so you talking?
So sweet. Joel, if you would take the screen sharing down, I think it'll cut down on some of those breakups in the communication here.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Still presenting. There you go.
There we go. Thank you.
Awesome. There you go, baby. What do you think? All right. Questions about the groundbreaking? Anything along those lines? I think it's coming together pretty good. We still have a few details and things to work out, but I think we'll get there. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking to make sure nobody else. All the rest of you have fallen asleep. Is that what's happening? or you're eating dinner. Okay, I see how it is. All right. Let's see. The other thing I brought up was just try to maybe we could spend a few minutes running through the ministry team development teams that we have kind of going on. We created a Google Doc that we can share with whoever wants to try to input some of that. Debbie has already started working on a reconnecting team, but she's been on top of the groundbreaking and getting people to submit videos for the video montage compilation that we are working on. And while I'm talking, I'll see if I can bring that up and play you one or two. I've seen a few more, Debbie, coming in the last couple days, which is super great. So hopefully, like the video we made for Pastor Kim, we'll just be able to put all those together.
9 submissions so far. And I'm telling you, I think the congregation is just going to be wowed by the different messages from the different folks we have. They're just great. They really are. So I'm excited about that. I think this will be a kind of a fun celebration of our groundbreaking with this video montage of well wishes from actually around the country, not just in our own locality, but near and far. So there's a few more I'm hoping will submit theirs. I've been talking with folks who I've asked, so I hope they'll be able to get them in by the end of this week.
I did, on that note, Debbie, notice that when I went in to finalize, here, I'll share this, I'm back to sharing, so remind me to turn it back off, Jennifer. Let's see. When I went to finalize Kim's video, it basically said that as long as you haven't clicked the finalize button, if people still upload something, they can, even after the deadline. The deadline is more to try to motivate people or give people a timeline to actually do that. So yeah, here's what it looks like. So this put on it, and these are just some pictures on there too, but it'd be kind of cool to experiment with some of these pictures. With Kim's, we just had a couple of pictures, but they just kind of, when they put the video together, they add background music that sort of makes everything flow together really well. Here, I'll mute myself.
Greetings from the retirement ranch in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. When I was hired at High Street before I moved, the building burned to the ground, and I watched Harold Kuckler and construct out of the dirt and ashes. Here, this day, the Christians gathered as Harmony Springs Christian Church began the process of building a building. But a building is not the church. You are the church. The love that you have for God and one another will be your church. Blessings on all of you. Amen.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, they're I think Debbie's right. I think it'll be really neat.
Yeah, that was Larry Deach, who was the associate minister at High Street, of course, when the building burned. He had just come and was a part of the rebuilding. Because his video's a little dark, it's hard to see him. And I wish there was somehow we could identify him for those who would not know who he is by face or by voice. And unfortunately, he didn't identify himself in the video, but I don't know if, you know, this company.
Retirement ranch in the name of our Lord.
Sorry about that. Yeah. You know, I was thinking, Debbie, I think I can do that. I think I can. I was just looking to see if I can individually download those videos before we go to publish it. So it looks like you can. So I may be able to take that and put it into that video editing software that we have and just at least add his name on the bottom and say who he was.
Right.
So
something like that would be nice.
There you go. Yeah, so I'll go through those and see if we have some where they aren't identifying themselves, that's kind of thing, so that we can add that along the bottom. We might be able to just do that for all of them anyhow, if there's not that many, and just even the mayor was in there and all that. So I did also I sent a request over to Teresa Hord-Owen's administrative assistant, but haven't heard anything back from her yet. So we'll see, but I may send a follow-up email to see if she is able to send us one. Capo beads. All right. Let me go back to the list here. Okay. We need to, my thought was that I would try to, once we kind of have a group of people willing to work on some of the stuff, that we try to have we could do Google Meets like this too, individual meetings to just kind of go over what we need to try to figure out as we've sort of divided ourselves up for this. So the next one was that event venue building use team. Cheryl and Jackie agreed to co-lead that. Janice agreed to volunteer to be a part of that team. So some of these, the next step would just be getting us all together, and I can try to give everyone on the team a sense of what we're trying to accomplish, and then hopefully we can all kind of divide up the work, and then come back in one of those meetings and kind of report back. The Kanetta and Jennifer have agreed to co-lead the sort of community mission and service team, which is, I'm just calling Harmony Rising. It's a hashtag that I'm trying to use, or making an attempt at using, to try to signify that while the building is rising, so is our involvement in the community. So any other folks we have there, but we did a few things already, like we posted a picture of the donation we made to Blessings in a Backpack, and then I need to get Kevin to post something, but he and the youth have collected and made cards for Shannon's nurse team and Cheryl Blanchard's team at the hospital, and collected hard candy for them, which was something they said would be appreciated. So and anytime, I told Jennifer that it seems like a bit of self-promotion, and we're a church that just does this automatically. It's a part of who we are. But it's a part of just the marketing side, I guess, of us building a building and being noticed in the community, and trying to make sure that we're communicating to the community what kind of church we are. And I think our involvement in the community is a big part of what we want to try to communicate and accomplish. So there's that. And then marketing team. I did do a few things over the last couple weeks on that. We're in our staff meetings, we've been discussing trying to put together another delivery of sorts to all the folks in the congregation, kind of like we did the Easter lilies. And our thought was that we could put together some sort of a bag that maybe we could, some of the same people that deliver the Easter lilies or others could deliver and hang on people's doorknobs. And so far we have as a list to put inside of that to give to folks a copy of the book that we're going through right now, The Very Good Gospel. And we ordered a hand sanitizer that has the church's logo on it. And then some more of those reusable shopping bags that we use for the Blessings in a Backpack collection that have the church's name and logo on it also. And whatever we don't distribute through those bags, we'll just hold on to and have available for when we have the building opening, and all of that to be able to give to people. So, and then the other thing was individual communion. We have, Donna was able to get us sort of those pre-packaged communion supplies. So since we know we're going to be meeting in person on Sundays for a while until the building is done, we thought it might be nice to provide people with those. Since they're sealed, they last for a long time, and you just take them and open them on Sunday mornings. And then this is the last thing on the list I need to work on with those, really, but either another printed newsletter after the groundbreaking, and with a sort of article or press release that I'd like to work on here about the groundbreaking, just reiterating to folks that we are actually starting to build, and a bit of an update on where we are with like the capital campaign and what the projection on the building project looks like, just to make sure that everybody stays in the loop communication wise as much as possible while we're not meeting in person. So I think am I missing anything on that list, Jennifer, or was that pretty much what we've discussed so far? Okay. All right, so I'm thinking one of those items was just finalized a couple days ago, so I'm not sure. I have to figure out what the turnaround time is on printing those and shipping those to us. I know the hand sanitizer was one that she said was taking a little while because of the demand right now, but they can still get it. So I'll try to get some sense of when we'll get all those items together, and then we'll figure out how we're going to get them all in the same place, put them together, and then get them distributed to the right people to make those deliveries. The other thing that I was able to accomplish just today was some preliminary communication with a t-shirt screen printing company to have some shirts made with the church's name and such on it. And I was discussing with him about the possibility of putting that Harmony Rising hashtag on the sleeve of the shirts, so that if we actually get to the point where we're doing things like a service project, that kind of thing, we might be able to, wear those shirts and maybe take a picture or two with. We may have to stage them a little bit, I don't know, but with maybe that in the picture, that kind of thing. So, trying to work that angle a little bit as much as possible. I think that I know we need to revisit. The last meeting we were discussing putting together some sort of a door hanger or such, weren't we, Jennifer, for the Spring Hill development? And I know the last you sent me, they were having an online meeting for the neighborhood association. Did that end up happening? They had to reschedule it.
Pretty sure it's next Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm not
All
by
right.
my calendar, but I'm pretty sure it's next Tuesday.
All right.
That-
So I'll try
That
to.
reminds me, sorry to break in, but that reminds me, do we need to alert anybody on that street right behind the church about the groundbreaking ceremony and the fact that we'll be walking down the hill? Or
I spoke to the guy in the corner who mows that part of the hill, and he's fine. I talked to him just tonight.
Oh, okay, great. Thank
So
you.
Clearly it's next week at that hour, and yeah.
I guess if they have that meeting on Tuesday, you could just mention to them that we're doing it and the mayor's going to be there and stuff. If people want to stand on the hill from those houses or something and watch from a distance, they're welcome to. I don't know what kind of interesting spectacle it will become, but we'll see.
I will tell them during the meeting to log on. I was reminded of the meeting. Of course, it's on my calendar in the other room, but I asked him, are you part of the HOA meetings? And he said, yeah. And I said that, when next time we meet, there's 2 of us from the church who will be part of that meeting. And he said that a sheet was passed around to every house and he saw my name on it. So they're expecting me and ready to go with whatever questions might come up.
All right.
I'll give you an update. I have one.
Sounds good. I'll bump the making of that door hanger up on the list then, so we can try to get that done soon after the groundbreaking happens, knowing that they actually are planning on being out on the property then, because I'm sure people will be wondering if they're not a part of that neighborhood association meeting, what's going on. So we can try to do our best to communicate that. On a side note, I have a friend here who is overseeing a project for the Unitarian Church in Worcester, and I was talking to him just the other day, and they have a neighbor who is fighting an expansion that they're proposing with the city's zoning. And I was telling him that we have been very blessed that our connections with our neighbors around, Harmony Springs property and in the city of Green have, it's taken years to develop those, but I'm really glad that we have those. And I, sort of like the pandemic, I think all that work that we did ahead of time, we may not have necessarily seen the effects of that, but the fact that we're not having any big issues or complaints that I know about is good. So I'm glad that we're not dealing with that, I guess. So unfortunate for them, but I'm glad that we have avoided that thus far. Okay. Ba-ba-ba. All right, that is the list of teams. Oh, the last thing, another team that I think we could put together of sorts that doesn't have to be done initially, but that I've been discussing with Weaver, is that Weaver encourages churches, because they specialize in building churches, encourages churches to do things for the subcontractors who are out on the site on a regular basis throughout the project. And by doing things, some examples are like providing coffee and maybe donuts some mornings, feeding them lunch. These are ideas that they've thrown at me that other churches have done. And Dave, one of the guys at Weaver, sent me a video of one of the churches they built, and the video was just about how the church was interacting with the subcontractors. So I'll try to send that over, forward that to you all in an email here, so you can watch it. He said it does a good job of giving a good sense of sort of what they would love to see churches do. But that doesn't sort of, his discussion with me was that doesn't sort of ramp up until we get closer to the point in the building process where the walls are up and a lot of subcontractors are working inside doing electrical, plumbing, painting, drywall, finishing, all that stuff. For a while, it will just be a few people doing excavation and that kind of thing. So we don't have to necessarily do too much right now, but if we want to try to find somebody who would be willing to be sort of in charge of that, or maybe just somebody who could coordinate what we could try to get some volunteers to do it throughout the building process. And they kind of said it could be whatever we want. It could be coffee, every Wednesday morning. It could be lunch once a month. It could be, periodic, whatever it is, we can just kind of decide and be as involved as we want to be. It's a little bit more challenging with a pandemic, but he did think that we could probably, accomplish a lot of that, especially if we're just, bringing in coffee and then dropping it off. We could probably wear masks and do that and just kind of say hello in and out without a whole lot of socializing. If we want to serve, when things get really busy, more busy there, and we want to try to feed the subcontractors lunch or something, his suggestion was set up a couple tents, maybe outside, and tables, and put the food out and wear masks. And so we'll just have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But I did want to just throw that out for you all to think about, and maybe if you have any ideas on who would be good at coordinating that, then I could work on that behind the scenes to try to put ourselves in position to get that going when it's time. All right, that is all I had. Any other comments, subjects, topics that I'm missing that anybody wants to go over?
Yeah, I'd like to raise the idea of having a stewardship campaign for 2020. I think considering the fact that we're building a new building and we're probably going to have some additional unforeseen expenses, I think the timing might be right with anticipation of the new building and new programs beginning, that we should think about doing this year. So we don't have to discuss it in detail tonight, but I'd like to, start thinking about that as a plan for this fall.
Yeah, I think the pandemic kind of threw us all off of our regular routine, but I think that's a really good idea, Chuck. And I think we should. I was just thinking as you were talking that, like we had people making pledges to sort of a 2-year commitment, and then we approved the budget, and then we did, the capital campaign. So maybe just trying to make sure that we've reviewed where we're at with all of that, and then trying to put together a plan for encouraging people to pledge once the building is getting started, and to finish out, as strongly as we can with the capital campaign. I'm in agreement with you on that. I think that's good.
this feels a little bit frivolous after that comment, but we also can share that we were talking about a natural lawn in the front portion of the property. I'm looking into speaking with a master gardener and some of the things that the city has done in their different areas of green space, purposeful green space, to see what we can put in that might be on the very closest section to the street. I think that should be filled with something that would sort of be a statement. Sunflowers don't work. They face the houses, not the streets. So it's kind of cute, but it wouldn't work well. But if we could come up with another kind of flower or plant that would proliferate and grow up, but that would be really nice. It might also then be a spot from the church side to take some photos after weddings. And so we had some conversations about outside landscaping, not meaning just the stuff around the building, but in a bigger sense. We certainly don't want 4 to 6 acres of mowed grass every week. So we want to be very purposeful with that extra space. In the drawings that have been passed around, I'm pretty sure there's already a list.
Shut the door.
So,
Thank you.
I need my tablet real quick.
yep. So that would be good. Sorry,
Yeah, I think even the environmental part, of course, but also just not having to pay somebody to mow all of that. It just, even if we had volunteers, the time that it takes to mow that much would be crazy. So yeah, if we can find ways to do that, that'd be great. Thanks for starting that project.
I'd like to suggest something in that vein. Carolyn has always wanted to have what she calls a meadow somewhere in our property, which would be grass plants interspersed with lots of wildflowers. So if we can find something like that, that would have a year-round blossoming of different wildflowers interspersed with the grass plants, I think that would look nice.
Do you think she'd be open to having a conversation with me, and I can take some of her ideas, and maybe she can plant her garden over at Harmony Springs?
Absolutely. I'll let her know.
Hey, thanks. Pardon me. I'm gonna grab my door.
Yeah, I know we were talking a little bit about the city was doing a similar sort of thing at Bottler Park, where they were taking right grass area and turning it into sort of a wildflower thing. And they hired a company or people to come and like kind of manage the planting of it and that kind of thing. I'm sure we can do our research, and if we have a volunteer of a master gardener or something, since we're starting from scratch, try to figure that out. But that's a real thing that people are trying to do too, in place of grass. So plus it is just pretty. So I think that would be a great thing to add to the property.
Yeah. Pachysandra and myrtle take over in our woods.
Yeah, I'm sure there are certain the right people know the right types of things to plant for us that will just spread and take over. So that'd be cool.
That was one of the reasons that I was looking into this now, because, if we bring over a master gardener, they can see what grows there naturally and maybe take advantage of some of the clovers and things like that, and find some weed and feed that would encourage certain things and discourage other things that are currently growing.
Yeah, sure. Okay. A couple other things I was thinking about, projects we're working on, just to keep you updated on. I guess we're continuing to work on recording podcasts for that project, and we have a website that we're building for that, and are real close to being able to have enough episodes done to be able to start releasing those. But the whole thing has been really neat because Terry provided some of his music, and the intro. We have an intro to it that has Greg Blanchard featured on it, and some of Terry's music. And then, I listened to I was at the first episode, so I know what we talked about. But I listened to the kind of intro, how Jesse Hibbs put it together. Pretty cool stuff. So I'm excited about that. And Terry's project also. I need to come back with him and check, but he's got one song, I think, a virtual choir song that's pretty close to us being able to release and show everybody, and then a couple others that he's recorded his part to. And we're talking to some other folks about adding either instrumentation or vocal parts to it. So before we know it, hopefully by the time we get a building opening, we may have sort of a whole repertoire of online music, which could be helpful if we're not going to be able to be singing in person. We can at least play what we've recorded on our own, which is crazy to even think about. But I like that Terry has been willing to take on that project and is joyfully working on it. So we've got that in the works as well. So we got some good stuff going on, I think, which is really exciting for us as a church to be able to include, even though we're dealing with this pandemic. And probably maybe the pandemic sort of forced some of this stuff upon us, but in the end, if we're just kind of embracing it and trying to go with the flow, we're doing our best. So I think I've been encouraged all around with everybody's participation and what we've been able to accomplish here. All right. Anything else tonight? Well, we did a good job of covering a whole bunch of stuff. Very good. All right. Let me close us with a word of prayer, and then hopefully I get to put this baby to bed. We'll see. All right. Join me in prayer. Loving and gracious God, we give you thanks for this evening, for the joy and encouragement that it brings us to be a part of this group of people who are working together to accomplish your mission that you're calling us to as your church, Harmony Springs. In this unique time in our existence and in society and in history, we thank you for how you've looked out for us, how you continue to bless us and guide and direct us. May we continue to trust in you and all of your wisdom and all of your goodness. Be with all of Harmony Springs tonight, and whenever they're watching this, may your presence be known for them and to them, wherever and whenever we are together, the church together as one. Amen and amen. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate the conversation, and we'll see everybody next week at the groundbreaking, or most people.
Bye.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Joel. Good night.
Good night.